Welcome to part 2 of how to use the CleaveTech body mounting jig. In this video I'm going to show you how to mount a body to a 32nd F1 car and show you that it does cater for 24th cars as well. So let's start with my 32nd F1 car. Here it is. Again, like I did in the first video, I've just taken the lead wires down and take the pans in position, in the far back position in this case. Now I'm not going to mount this body shell with tyres in place, so I'm going to remove the car plate for this one. So I don't need that part, I just need my flat block. So I can put my chassis onto the block. Now, because it has an F1 with brass pans, it's a little bit more awkward for the magnets to hold the brass in place. So when I get the chassis where I want it to, I'm going to tape it into position. So let's open it up, take the parts out so I can remove the rear wing part. I'm not going to be using that part, but it's got the pins attached to it. But I do need my internal wing mount. So I can remove that from the back and I can slide it in position. Now, to give me some idea of wing height, remember we've got these lines on here. So Formula 1 is 30mm wing height. So the first line would be 28, the second line would be 30. But because the body shell this time is going to sit on top of there, I probably want to be towards the lower half of the 30. So I'll just fix it in position, or just loosely tighten it in position there, and then we'll see how we go. So I'll put my body shell in through the grooves, and you can see that the grooves in the base are designed to match up with a Formula 1 body shell. So I can make sure that sits nicely onto there, and I can check body height with my vernier. Make sure that's sitting nice onto there. Check my wing height. Fraction too high. Like so. So I'm just going to lower that side a fraction. Because I didn't tighten it all the way up, I can just push it down. Let's tighten it in that position there, and let's do another check that I'm happy that I set my rear wing height to the correct value. Notice my body shell, like before, is pre-prepared with the back cut out. Cut the rear wing again to the required legal limits. I've got my 1mm along the vertical edge along the front of the body shell. I've also trimmed it out around where the front axle is going to be on the chassis inside, and obviously cleared where the rear wheels are going to be, etc. So I've prepared my body shell in advance. The only thing I don't need for this one is the little bit of piano wire inside, because this time I'm resting the body shell down onto the wing support rather than using magnets to hold it up. So let's just check that rear wing height again. Make sure the body shell's sitting nicely down onto that. Check the rear wing height. Happy with that, and happy with that. So I'm happy that I've set my rear wing height to be correct. So I'm now going to put my chassis in place. You can see as well, I need to set these pin tube guides to 32nd Formula 1 width. So I can probably do this before the chassis even goes on, because these will slide in and out, and then I can set them so that they sit level with the edge of the slot. So that's that one there, and tighten it up there. This one here, slide it level with the edge of the slot, tighten that one up. Do the same for the ones above. Tighten that one up. And that one, like so. So they're now set. That one's not very well done. Slide that one a little bit like that. There we go. Until I'm happy that they're in the right position. Okay, that's it. I'm happy that they're aligned correctly. So I can put my chassis on. Again, it holds the centre section because that's steel, but it doesn't magnetise to the brass. Again, I can now put the body shell over the top, get it sitting in the grooves like that, and then I can adjust my chassis to where I want the chassis to sit inside. So I'm going to slide my chassis, and again I want it all the way forward. I can always trim the front wing to miss those front wheels, but I want it all the way forward without lifting the front of the shell. So when I'm happy that I found the right position, obviously I'm moving it by sliding the guide forward and backwards through the slot underneath. So if I'm happy that I've got my chassis in the right position and the body shell is going to sit down nicely over that, which I am, I'm going to remove the body shell. I'm going to make sure that my chassis is taped in position so it can't move. So I shall just tape over the back end like that. Just to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere. Like so. So the chassis is now taped, so I know it's not going to move when I'm setting up my pins. I can remove my pins from the magnets here. And I can set up my pin tube guides, so I can slide the pin in so it lines up with the chassis, and then when I'm happy I can lock it in place by tightening that thumb screw there, make sure it slides in and out nicely without moving the chassis. Yes, it does. Let's do the one at the front. Slide that in. Probably need to loosen that off a bit. There we go. Slide that into there. When I'm happy that that lines up okay, I'm happy with that, and then I can tighten it up into position. Again, just do a double check to make sure you're happy with the position of the pin tube guide. Yes, I am. Tighten that up. Do the same the other side. To loosen that off a bit. Notice in my previous video I set all these up in advance to save time on the video, but I just thought I would show you how you would go about setting them all up and how long it can take. So there we go, set that one up. Yep, that's going through nicely, but I do notice that I'm a little bit too far away with that pin tube, so I'm just going to slide it in a little bit more like that and tighten it in position. So I'm happy. Does that work? A little bit low. Yep. Slide it along a little bit. Just lifting that pan a fraction. Right, I'm happy now. That's sitting a lot better. Look at that. All right, tighten that in position. And then the final one, slide that through, line it up, tighten it up until I'm happy that that's going to go in and out. Yep, happy with that. Tighten that in position. I think again I've left a little bit too large a gap, so I'm just going to slide that pin tube in a fraction like that and lock it in place. There we go. So I'm now happy with the position of all my pinning guides. Remove my pins. Body shell back on. Make sure it sits nicely on the rear wing support. Make sure it's sitting down and make sure the front is sitting nice and level. And then I can slide the pins in. Probably didn't need to remove them all the way. Slide the pins in, and then if I'm happy with where it sits, check the body shell sitting nice and square on the chassis. Yes, it is. And then I can just push my pins in sure the body shell's still sitting okay. There we go, and I've now pinned all 4 pins all in the right places. Let's take them out, and there we go. And then I can always trim the bottom of the body after I've finished to wherever it needs to be. Done. So let's move on. I'll just take those pins out again, just to show you if I were to remove that chassis and place a 24th production chassis on. So I'm just going to move these pin guides all the way out. 24th production chassis in place. Now on the rear axle of this one, I've turned down a 332 axle into 2 points so that I can actually mark the centre of the rear tyres to cut the arches out, the rear arches out of my body shell. But just to show you, the 24 shell lines up with the outer slots on the body jig. Thank you for watching.